We have much pleasure in introducing our guest speaker number 3. We've changed the schedule slightly. Please let's introduce Daniel Flores from Art is King, and his presentation will be entitled A Creative Genius. Daniel Flores, DTM, The Creative Genius, is a multidisciplinary artist with 20 years experience in graphic design, web development, concept artist, vector illustration, and traditional arts. Growing up, he realized artists can get paid for their work, and that is when his mission became to find a place for the art to be his full-time job. When he started his own art exhibitions, it was really to help the emerging artists, to give them a platform to share their talents and their stories with the world. Dan has never created a show before, but he has successfully produced a show every year for the last 10 years. When Dan founded Art is King, his mission was to educate creatives in the business of art. He had never run a non-profit before or built even an educational program, but he's now in his 5th year of Art is King, and he continues to grow and build confidence and make a difference within the artist's life. Please put your hands together for Dan Flores from Art is King.
I'm going to stand a little bit to the side right here. There we go, perfect. How many of you have ever met an artist, or maybe you were this kind of artist, who has a lot of talent, you're looking at their work, and the question comes up, how much for it? And they do not know how to answer that question. So if you've ever been in that situation, or you've ever seen an artist and talked to an artist and they've never been able to give you an answer, that's the problem that we're trying to solve with Art is King. I've been a working artist for the last 20 years. I've been getting paid for my artwork. I started actually as a professional in '95. And throughout the years, I've developed my process and my business to the point where this is how I get paid. And I always get that question from other artists, how do we figure out how do we get paid? How do we figure out how to run our business? And Art is King is the solution that we came up with to help give artists that insight and advice and education to get to that point where they know what they're worth, they know what their value is, and they know how to run their business. It said 5 years, and I just Facebook reminds you of stuff that happened in the years past, and it showed that in 2012 we did a conference called Art is King, and that was 6 years ago, and so that means that earlier that year is when we actually started going really hard with Art is King, trying to educate artists in the business of art, which is why I love what Brian and Audrey are doing. This is amazing, this is awesome, and I'm glad to be here. So a little bit about my story. I was born and raised in East LA. Growing up, going to school every day, in my neighborhood, there's a lot of murals, and to this day, there's a ton of murals in LA, everywhere you go. And so that was my inspiration for knowing more about my culture, knowing more about our history, but also finding ways to draw those mythological stories that we hear as a kid. When I say we, I mean us Mexicans in LA, hear about our past in Mexico. And so as time's gone on, I became another Mexican who likes to draw. And now that I've been out here in Atlanta for the last almost 25 years, I forget what year I got here, 24 years. I got here in '94. I decided that I wanted to also draw some of the things that are part of my culture, draw some of the things that I like, and then the stories that I enjoy as a kid. And but I did not want to draw it like every other Mexican does. And we Mexicans have a very clear style and defined, very defined. Chicanos, the Mexican born in the States, has a very clear, defined style also. And my brother follows that style. He's an artist also. But I wanted to bring in comic book style. I wanted to bring in a very bold style to my artwork and tell the same stories. And so as the years has gone by, I've been thinking about how do I develop the art style that's going to speak my story, it's going to speak on my history, but also bring a new fresh perspective in the way it looks. And so through that thought process and finding my art style, talking to other artists, having art mentors, I developed a style that I call Azteca Moderno, modern Aztec. And so last couple of weeks, I worked on a mural. My wife was there and a team of artists that helped me. Worked on a mural in downtown Atlanta, where it's, if you go to underground, you cannot go to the downstairs underground. You can only go to the upstairs underground, where it's on the street level, and it's called Upper Alabama Street. And if you walk out of the 5 Points MARTA station and walk straight across the street, that is Upper Alabama. And there's these white columns, similar to those columns right there. And one block down on Pryor Street, you'll see my columns, and they have some Aztec artwork. I'm going to be there on Tuesday doing some final touch-ups, but that is a culmination of this path that I've been on as a working artist, and not just doing art to get paid, which I'll get into in a minute, but an artist, the art that I feel that comes from my own inspiration, my own heritage, my own story as a Mexican born in LA. I lived in Mexico for a while, and all the stories that I hear in our history books. So that's a little bit about me. You can find me Delta Tango Mike. I'm going to get into the next part that I want to talk about. And at the end of my talk, if you want some stickers, I have extra stickers. Some of the artwork that's up here, I got some stickers to give away today. But one of the things that's helped me, and especially with social media today, in developing my style and getting known, is by finding ways to rise above the noise as an artist. So not only did I rise above the noise as a Mexican artist, a Chicano born in East LA, but also as an artist here in Atlanta, because a lot of us artists know a ton of artists here. We kind of cross paths all the time. And there are people, it's crazy, there are people who do not know where to find an artist. And I know Brian could walk out in the street, in the middle of the street, and find 5 artists walking by, because we know what they look like, we know what we do. And so one of the processes for me is being in a city full of artists, and I got to know so many that after a while you start feeling like you're competing with each other, or that you want the gig they got. And so what is very important is that as an artist, you find your voice, you find your message, and you find a way to use social media to rise to the next level. So here's an example that I came up with to illustrate what I'm going to say. So let's pretend that everybody here can draw. Everybody can draw good, right? Disney's ready to hire you because that's how good you can draw. Everybody's here the same. And we're gonna talk about drawing just to keep it very simple. So everybody here can draw. Everybody has the same level of talent. And there's big money standing here ready to hire somebody. So the way you rise above when you're equal with everyone else is by finding those things that make you stand out. So let's say out of everybody here who can draw, only some of you are ready to stand up and talk about your work and can explain your process, right? So now you've moved up a level. Then let's say that's half the room. So you still got a lot of people left. So then the next step is, well, how many of those artists who can talk about their process can stand up here and show their portfolio and feel confident about what they have to say about their work? That makes the pool of talent smaller. And that's what social media has done for us today. There are 4 parts to any art career. So it's the talent that you may go to school, you may be born with it. I spent many years honing. Then there is the tools. A lot of us know our tools. Some of us have favorite pencils. Some of us have favorite tools. I have a Surface here. I think that's, what is that right there? iPad Pro. Some of us have some Cintiqs and so on, right? So we know our tools very well. When an artist complains about how their computer has started doing updates and interrupted their work, I blame the artist, not the computer, because you should know your tools. So that's the second part, right? The tools. The third part is your art business process. How do you negotiate? How do you talk to your clients? How do you go get that job? What do you say at that artist interview or that interview for that gig? So that's some part that it takes time to develop, and it takes people around you to get to that point to have the experience to be able to work and make the deals that you want. But the last part is the part where we're all equal, and that is social media. So social media marketing, the word marketing it has the word market in it, which means sales. It means you're finding that person who's going to buy from you, whether they're going to hire you to do some commission work or they're going to buy the artwork that you have. And that is also part of the business process. But because we have social media, that allows us to then take another step up. Move up on that level so that you're not with everybody else. And unfortunately, artists spend a whole lot of time by themselves working on their craft. Not talking to anybody, not in a room full of other people. I don't know how the people at Starbucks do it, but it happens, right? But artists really work alone and work for themselves. And so what that does to an artist is that it takes away that social interaction in real life. And so when it's time to talk about your talent, it's time to talk about your portfolio, they're not ready to talk about it, they're not sure, they don't have the words because it's all about feeling, it's all about emotion. But social media allows you to then start building that story and telling that story little by little, no matter how raw and weird you sound. No matter how weird that sound right now, it's all part of telling a story. It's all part of getting out of that shell. It's all part of you telling the world what you got and how you work it. So with the way I have worked with social media for myself, and this is my process, and I tell a lot of artists about this, and I give them pointers, but I'm not going to go through a whole lot of list of things, even though I had that prepared, but it feels more like a personal story up here, so I'm going to tell you my story. So years ago, about 10 years ago, I really got serious with my art career. And that's because the first 10 years, I was just crazy. I enjoyed all of everything, socializing. I enjoyed hanging out. I enjoyed doing art projects and then just spending all my money. But then 10 years ago, a little bit over 10 years ago, I met my wife. Well, I already knew her, but we started dating. And I started thinking about, well, what would I really want to do with my art? And I started noticing what other artists who are moving up their levels of their careers. And I started noticing the pattern in what they do. And what I noticed is that they had a story. They had something to tell. It's not just the fact that you can draw Mickey Mouse. It's not the fact that you can draw cartoons or comics or paint, fine artists, whatever. The talent is one thing, but can you tell a story with it? And I realized I did not have my story. I had my influences, I had the ideas growing up, but I did not have something that I could talk about and tell with my art. So in developing a relationship with my wife, I started getting serious about, well, what is it that I want to do with my art besides just being a hired gun? It's fun getting paid to do work, and at the end of the day, it's just artwork. I'm drawing and sketching, and then I go on and do what I want. But I wanted to feel that I also have something to say with my talent because I was born with it to a point where this is all I'm doing. So there has to be more to it. Well, here comes social media, and I don't know if anybody remembers the MySpace days. You guys are too young and nobody remembers that. I started developing my online persona, which, because I'm an extrovert, it became the online persona of my real life. And my real life is DTM, Delta Tango Mike, Dan the Man. There's a whole another story on that. We need a whole conference today for that. But as time's gone on, I decided that I wanted my brand online to be a reflection of what my brand is in real life. And what that did was I started cranking out artwork all the time to reflect who I am, what my heritage is, what story I want to tell. Now, I did not understand branding. I didn't know anything about brands and what that meant or what it was for. But a long time ago, I decided that I was a tattoo artist, I was a fine artist, I was an illustrator, I was all these things. And then I said, well, let me find a word that fits all those things together. And that's when I started using the creative genius. And so that's it. That was my mark. I'm a creative genius. No matter what the problem is, I'm going to find a creative way to figure it out. And so my online persona became that. To the point that as Facebook developed and all the other social media platforms, I was always locking in that domain name, the creative genius. So right now, if you do a search for the creative genius, it's all my stuff. If you do a search for DTM, you may find some German cars and then me. But that creative genius stayed, and it's been a big part of my brand. And so But then again, as the internet grew and social media began to crop up, there's a lot of artists taking advantage of it and building stories and telling who they are and building a large audience. So what my process has been a little bit to add my artwork that I get paid to do, but a lot more of the artwork that I love doing. So a lot of the stuff you see in my profile is about the artwork that I love to do. And that became the artwork that people know me for. The bold lines, the bold colors, and the Aztec artwork. And then when podcast became a thing, and it's been a long time, I decided, well, you know what, I want to do a podcast. But because I did not go to school, I did not take any art classes, I don't have any college degrees, I decided that I wanted to learn from other artists' story. So I started interviewing other artists and then publishing it on a podcast. So that not only was I asking an artist for their time to say, just give me all the information you have, please download it real quick so I can become who you are. I would tell them, hey, let's share your story so that the world can hear it. And I, along the way, learned from that. So now we have over 90 interviews on iTunes, and that's become some of my education, but also some of my process to let the world know that I exist, to let the world know that I am out here doing art. Another part of my social media process was online videos, live streaming. And so that's a long time ago when it first became a thing back in the Ustream days. I don't know if anybody does video and never heard of Ustream. Too bad, it's full of commercials nonstop. I started streaming some other things in places where I was at just to show some of the other artists in the community who were doing work. And as time's gone on, I've improved on my devices, and the services have improved. YouTube became a thing. Facebook became a live stream platform. So a few years ago when live streaming came to YouTube, a friend of mine, she was sitting there talking to me about it, and we went live on Facebook right then and there just to test it out. And what I realized is that I liked how you could be spontaneous and not a whole lot of editing that needs to happen, not a whole lot of pre-planning, just jump out there and say what you need to say. And so then I took that, and for my art, I've been doing a lot of online tutorials, I've been doing a lot of artist talks, I've been publishing a lot of the artwork that I do. There's pillars that I'm finishing on Tuesday at Underground. I'm gonna film the last bit of that, and then I'm gonna put together a long video and put it on social media also to show more of my talent, show more of my work. So that's become my thing where not only do I produce artwork, not only do I share it, but I also talk about it. I tell the story. And that is the part that artists need to get to when you want to rise on the next level. You have to be able to tell your story. You have to be able to talk about yourself. You have to be able to show people your process so that the more they see it, the more they're convinced of your talents, and now you have a process on which you talk to your clients, your possible customers, and you bring them into your world. One of the last things that I want to say is that when I talk to artists about what they want to do with their talents and what kind of industry they want to be in, it helps to be very defined. But also that definition kind of puts you into a box. It puts you like on a train track. And so if you're a comic book artist, and this is what I like about Brian, that he does a lot of different things. But let's pretend we're talking about comic book artists right now, and you get on that track, the industry will tell that artist that they can only get paid a certain amount of money for the work that they do. The industry tells that artist that they can only do the artwork that fits that industry itself. But when you take a step back and you look at yourself as an entrepreneur, then the price points can rise up. Then the kind of clients you can have will be much bigger than what Marvel and DC is paying as comic book artists. So those are the things that I encourage artists to get into, telling their story, talking about themselves so they can reach a wider audience, find bigger clients, and grow into the careers that they want to have. Because even after 20 years into my career, I'm still not done. I have ways to go, and I'm constantly moving on up, moving on up, moving on up to the point that I will get paid exactly what I want to live the life that I want to live, little by little, and moving through. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Do you want to do unfortunately, Dan will be able to attend the Q&A. So are there any questions that you'd like to ask Dan about his process as an artist and just like your evolution, really, just how you've evolved and how you are continuing to evolve, not just as an artist, but someone that is giving back and being the positive energy out there.
Yes.
Are there any questions?
I think there was a hand right there. Yes, sir.
Let me get a microphone.
Okay, we're gonna get a microphone. In the meantime, look me up, Delta Tango Mike. You can look up Art is King _ATL. And my wife and I started a camp for girls to learn how to code and do robotics, and that's called Buttercup STEAM. Buttercup STEAM. Not only do we develop our own talent to live the life that we want to live, we still live in the community, and we have to continue to build that community so that everybody moves on up. Yes, sir, what's your question?
Since you've been in the Atlanta market, how much will you say has the art or the animation market has been rising here in the Atlanta market from your point of view?
Well, I think that opportunity is growing the more the film and television moves in here. That was already robust for the last 20 years because of Turner. So they helped build that. Atlanta is not as old as New York or LA. If you know anything about history, it's been burned down twice. The last time it was burnt down was 100 years ago or something, I don't know the exact date. But the arts have not developed at the same pace as other cities because other cities have been around longer. And so you have to take that into account and why there's still growth. And so there's still more opportunity coming in. But the more that industry starts to build up, I've worked in animations and I'm not a trained animator. I worked on the solid drawings. I'm a 2D illustrator. And then they take that into the animations. So before they do animations, they need the artwork, and that's where I fit in. And there's been more of that opportunity because of the market and the way it's changing. It's actually benefiting. But if you do not know how to negotiate, if you do not know how to talk about your process, then you will not be the one working in those industries.
Okay, we have another question.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. You spoke about building your social media presence.
Yes.
What would you have to say about your process of how consistently you may post your process or just works of art that you may have done? What type of schedule did you have in terms of?
Very good question. That was one of my points that I did not touch on. As much time as you spend with your craft, whatever that may be, and I know I'm talking about visual arts, but it could be whatever it is that you're working on, you have to spend almost as much time developing that online presence. You have to spend as much time building your business, because unless you hire somebody else. Now, if you have a budget, we can definitely talk about that, and I can help you with yours. And that's just like the music industry, right? So you have a talented person and they put a team around her or around him, and then next thing you know, they're superstars. But unless you have that budget, then you have to do the work yourself. And so you have to find those pockets of time when you break down your process and write about it. So one of the things that I've done is use Behance. So when I give you my sticker, you'll see my Behance link. And so I've had to not just produce the work, but sit down and write out about my process. Why did I do this artwork? What were the challenges? What were the positives that I knew coming in? What are some of the things that I had to resolve? And write those paragraphs out. So then I go on Behance and I post all my sketches. I post the beginning of this project. I post the text about this project, and then I show you the final product. And all of that shows that you have a brain and you know how to think. And people who spend money want to know that about you. Artists have a very bad reputation of being temperamental, right? Unreliable.
Yeah.
They get inspiration, and next thing you know, they don't have the inspiration anymore. And sometimes they don't care about money.
Yeah.
And so that's where writing this process out, telling the world about it, and you sitting down to work it out shows that you're more of a smarter person who's ready to handle business than just the person who wants to draw because they feel like it.
Yeah, and what Dan is saying is so correct, because it's a talent, it's a gift, it's something that you were given from the beginning of time. We knew that Dan Flores was going to be an incredible artist, and it's supposed to support you. Right. It's supposed to support you, your wife, your children, your grandchildren. You're supposed to leave a legacy that allows them to be able to live in this world and have a great life. But as an artist, sometimes we forget that we're actually supposed to get paid for the things that we were gifted with. And the majority of people that have these skills from a tiny tot, by the age of 13, 14, are not living or not producing the fruits of their gift. Right. And by the 20s, that's it. By the time you've met somebody and fallen in love and broke up and then got married and had kids, got divorced, by the time you get to your 40s and 50s, it's, oh, when I was young, I used to draw, I used to sing, I used to do this. But this is what's supposed to give you your living. And so this is a really important, guest speaker point that we have, because, art is king. It is. It's what's supposed to support us. And that's the reason why we did this, because it's so important that, Brian and I, we want to live what we do. Brian's been, doodling from the age of 3. I can't remember not singing or performing, and I'm so blessed that 50 odd years on, I'm still doing what I enjoy doing, and Brian enjoys doing what he does. So this is so important. It's really important to also know your worth. Know that if you're good at art, if you're good at this, get paid for it. Don't compromise. Don't let anyone steal and what's going down, decrease your value. Stay strong. So, we're really glad to have you, Dan, and, we'd love to have you to come back to when we do the next conference in February next year. Right. And please remind everyone how they can find you.
Yes, anywhere on the internet, Delta Tango Mike. Anywhere. That's my website, Delta Tango Mike. That's my social media. Another advice for artists, keep your name consistent through all the networks. And then, of course, for more advice, and I'm recording this today, so it'll go on the YouTube channel for Art is Wonderful. King. So everything that I produce, a lot of the stuff that I do and say, I try to record it, create it into content, and push it out there. So check us out. Thank you, everybody. I do have stickers, so if you want a sticker, just come and see me.
Thank you so much. Thank
you. So we caught my presentation at the Atlanta Creators Conference, and there was a couple of things that I left without saying, and I'm going to add them right now. Number one is talk a little bit about in detail about my process when it comes to social media, right? So that's one. And then two is what are the effects of my social media process. And so let's go real quick as to my particular process. Number one, I like to go ahead and jump on Facebook Live because I don't need to edit. I don't need to prepare a bunch of files to publish online. I can just jump on Facebook live stream what's going on, what I need to say, and it's live on the internet right away. Two things happen with the live stream. One, you catch people while they're on Facebook, while they're scrolling through the Facebook timeline, and they happen to see you, so they tune in. Facebook also lets people know that you are online, so that when they're scrolling and on visiting through Facebook or the app, they get the notification, and then they go ahead and check out what you're saying when you're live. So that's one part. The second part is once the Facebook Live is over, it stays online for anyone to come to check out anytime later. So it doesn't go away. It just stays on your account, so it becomes part of your videos. And so people who follow you, people who follow your work, they're gonna, and those who follow my work are gonna see it eventually while they check out something about one of my posts. They click on something that I said later on, and they might dig further and then see those Facebook Lives. So the live stream stays on later. It accrues more views, which in turn Facebook likes to tell other people that somebody liked this video, somebody commented on the video, and before you know it, a whole lot of people have seen it. And now those things that you're doing with your art life, those things, those events that you are doing with your art, they are people are tuning in and checking out. My process has been to go Facebook Live, get the message that I want to get out, or check out some of my art process that I want to share, and then save that video so that I can then edit down again. So then I can use it again. I will edit it down. I will clean up the parts where the beginning where it's messing up, where the camera's moving, and I'm trying to get something going, and any parts that feel kind of boring or just don't need to be there. I will edit it down, add the bumps in the front, the intro, add the bumps in the end, maybe a couple of links on the screen, and then and I do that through Adobe Premiere. Once I'm finished editing, I publish it on YouTube. So now I have the same video that was on Facebook. I edit it, and now that goes on YouTube. Uh, I like to get people to come out to YouTube and subscribe so they can see, catch up to everything that's going on, and see some things that weren't live at all. Like I was at another conference a week ago, and I was at Atlanta Comic Con, and I didn't get a chance to actually stream it live, but I recorded it, edited it, and then published to YouTube. So it helps with my process uh, to go live and then publish later and on YouTube. So then I have two places where the video's on. So that's a little bit of my process. What I also like to do is when I edit down now. Instagram allows you to do 10 minutes. So I go ahead and edit it down to 10 minutes, publish on Instagram, and a different audience get to see it. Because everybody who follows me on Instagram may necessarily be my friend on Facebook, and they're not necessarily following on YouTube. So my audience, the different channels that I'm publishing to, it hits a different type of audience, and it keeps expanding and expanding, and the message just gets further and further out. Then I also do the 1 minute, so I can post it on the Instagram page. And if possible, I put it on the stories. So I do a smaller, shorter version. And maybe when it comes to art and I'm doing my art process, I'll speed it up so that I can get a lot of footage into a little small amount of time, and then post it on the stories. So it all my social media process, it's all there to share the content as many ways as possible through as many different channels as possible off of one recording. So I go live once, I edit, I clean, and I use that in many different ways and many different times to go ahead and get the message out. That's been my process. Now here's what the results of that process have been. So I started a few years ago doing the podcast. I mentioned the podcast in my talk. Through the podcast, I was able to reach more and more artists to share their story with me. And when they share it with me, they're sharing it with the podcast audience. And so that has given me more access to learn about more artists and their art process and their art business, and how they're able to thrive with their art life. So then that helps me learn, and anybody who's listened actually gets something out of it. I get a lot of comments on Instagram and Facebook about how the podcast and what they learn, what people learn. So I know it works. I know that the people are listening. So that's helped me along with other artists. So that's where this process actually makes a difference. Then the live stream, when I started doing the live stream, it actually elevated my profile. And that's going back to that example where, what if everybody was the same? What if all artists were at the same level and they all had the same level of talent? Well, me hosting the podcast puts me in one step up. Me having the live streams puts me in another step up. So my clients are able to find me, and they see some of this content that I produce and that I'm publishing, and it's reaching them. So now, when I mentioned earlier that artists get the bad rap of being emotional and inspirational and sometimes temperamental about producing their work, they can see that I am constantly producing some work, and I'm being smart about it in the way I use it to as social media content to reach out to other people who may not know me or may not see me at one channel, but they say, so they see this content and now they understand who I am, they understand how I work, they understand my process, and they understand that I'm a business person. They understand that I'm an entrepreneur. So now that's elevating me on those levels of as an artist. So now I'm able to get out there and talk to a client in a way that they can understand my process and then agree to my price. You see? So now I'm actually going up and up and up through the social media content that I create that is actually coming from the artwork that I'm already going to do anyway. So the proof in how this has worked for me has been that along the way, I caught the attention of Microsoft, whom I had been chasing for a long time. For years, I was going to hackathons and meetups, and eventually I started getting free stuff because of my participation as a designer. But the social media was what that thing that grabbed them and then allowed me to work with Microsoft and producing an event that we did downtown a couple years ago. That was through social media and seeing how I get out there and produce content. We started collaborating with Microsoft to produce some drawing sessions around town, including that year and a half where I was producing a segment at Apache Cafe. And some other companies that I work with that has come from the social media and content that I produced and published is Noel Rubbermaid Company. Now it's called Noel Brands, and they produce the Sharpies and Prismacolor brand. And so I worked with them for 2 different years. Last year was the second year that I worked with them when we produced an art show and art competition called Sharpie Slam. Trying to think of right now. I'm drawing a blank on all the other companies that work: Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Arby's, and then Georgia Tech and Emory. So those are some of the brands that I work with, and they see my work, and I continue to publish and share some of my process. And so now I'm having different companies take a look and say, hey, Dan is the kind of artist that we can work with because he's organized. Not only is he creative, is he talented, but he shows his work, he shows his process, he can talk about his story, he can talk about the artwork that he creates, and now we can relate and work with him. So that's something that I wanted to come back and talk about. I feel that there were so many thoughts in my mind when I was on stage talking earlier today, and I knew that there was something else that I wanted to add. So here it is. So hopefully you got something out of this video. Please leave a comment. Please tag me in your work. I'm Delta Tango Mike. You can follow artisking_ATL. Find us on YouTube, Art is King. And then I have some art tutorials and digital drawing, vector illustration, Adobe Illustrator tutorials at vectormaestros.com. This is DTM. Talk to you later. Peace.